Let me show you how I'm going to grade your financial model. First thing I'm going to do is open up the PDF. I'm looking for 11 pages. Page 1 should be your title, doesn't need a header or a footer. As I move through then, I'm looking for instructions, followed by assumptions, followed by dashboard, followed by income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flows, benchmarks, valuations, documentation in the very end. As I look through these things, what I'm looking for is absolute perfect synchronicity between things like column widths here. You see how when I'm moving through, my cursor is always in the exact same place? I'm looking for synchronicity like sizing. See how my header is always the exact same size and always in the exact same place? I'm also going to look at your numbers to make sure that you and I got the same numbers that match. And then lastly, I'll look back at your title page and hope that you have something that was fun and creative to go on top of what is a fairly intense mathematical model. After I'm done with the PDF, then I'll go into your actual model itself. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the title page, and I'm going to look through each page one at a time. And I'm expecting to start off by seeing your cursor always in A1, or at least in the same place. I don't care if it's A1. It could be sitting in C9, so long as everywhere I look, it's in C9. Excuse me. So that as I move from sheet to sheet, everything is synchronous. I prefer to put mine in A1 just because it's the easiest place for me to remember to do it. Then I'm going to look for things like your navigation bar. Let's see whether or not when I move from page to page, is it the exact same size? Is it in the exact same place? Do I see any movement up or down on the sheet? Or does it look like a piece of software that I can navigate through? And I don't need one on valuations or documentation. You can put it there if you'd like, but it's not necessary. But I'm going to look for that perfect synchronicity on those things. Then I'm going to go back to the title page and see, okay, do your navigation buttons work? I'll start with your instructions. I'll get here and I'm going to look for things like whether or not when I spell check, is everything spelled properly? Then I'm going to hit your navigation and say, does this take me to dashboard? And this one to income statement, and this to balance sheet, and this to cash flows, and that's to benchmarks, and then it should go back. After then, on the assumptions, I'll make some changes like we've been making optimistic operating scenario assumptions. And let's make one more change. How about we'll make days payable be optimistic as well? Then I'm going to use your navigation button to go to the dashboard, and I'm going to expect to see that the original values for baseline are still in the same place, but that the revised has now changed. And because we made optimistic, our net sales, EBITDA, and net income are all significantly increased. And because we made changes that affected not only the income statement, but the balance sheet, I'm going to look to see that cash and cash equivalents have gone up. Then I'm going to hit the reset button and come back to your dashboard and make sure that the dashboard updates properly and that the reset macro button had worked properly as well. Then I'll go and look at a couple of select pieces of your sheets. Like I'll look on your income statement and make sure that you've got the formulas properly up there. I'll look on your balance sheet too and make sure that you're working with formulas. And on your statement of cash flows, I'm going to go ahead and look for formulas. I can also come back to assumptions and do things like maybe I'll go ahead and ask myself, what happens if we pay back $50,000 worth of debt? I should be able then to see, does that have any impact on my dashboard? And it does. It has a very, very minor one because my cash and cash equivalents have changed. Let's see if I can see that in greater detail. If I go to the income statement where I see something like, yes, indeed, interest expense has gone down. And if I go to the statement of cash flows, then I should be able to see that I have payback, which led to a negative $50,000 change in financing activities. So I use a basic script to run through this thing to make sure that everything looks standard, synchronous, and professional. If I find deviations from there, that's when I start to take points away. But if yours looks exactly like mine does, right? Now, as I'm scrolling through, then you should get full credit.